Okay, welcome to Fantastic Freezer Organizer, and this is a demo video to show you how you're going to install this crossbar, which we're using at the bottom, so it's going to be a footer and act like a stabilizer for the segment mounts that we're going to be installing up the side. So the purpose of this video is in case you have some preformed ledges that are protruding up over here, how you're going to get your Fantastic Freezer Organizer to kind of build around what's there. So for this purpose, we're going to assume that in the lower, we're sliding it to where we feel we have the best opportunity to get up the wall. For this example, we're going to assume that this second indentation from this side and the second one here are what work for us. So the next step is to install 4 of these post segments up, and then you're going to tape them to hold them in place as we continue the build. So here we go. We're going to stick the first one in. Then we're going to stick the second one in, then we're going to stick the third one in, and then we're going to stick the fourth one in, and we're going to hold it in place using a piece of tape about 8 inches. You're just going to put it in place like that. Then we're going to go back down, and we're going to go into the second one, because that's the one that fit in our particular model here. So we're going to go install 4 of these post segments, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take another piece of tape, and we're going to put them in place like that. And then we're going to proceed with 4 more. So we're going to keep building up. We're going to go 1, and make sure when you're installing them that the tongue is going into the lower bracket. 2, 3, and the fourth one is going to be the one that has a green mark on there. That's the one that's going to go at the top. So make sure on the second set of 4, the one at the top has the green mark on it. And again, you're going to take a piece of tape about 8 inches across, and you're just going to hold it in place. We're going to go back down on the other side, and we're going to put 4 more post segments going up the side of our fridge. And remember, again, the one that's at the top, the fourth one from the top, has to have a green mark. And then you're going to slide it in, and you're going to put another piece of tape, again, about 8 inches inside your fridge, and that's phase 1 of the installation. Okay, now we're proceeding with the installation of the Fantastic Freezer Organizer. We've got our mounts in place. The top mount has the green dot, and the reason for the green dots is when we take our crossbar, and this crossbar is going to act as a header. Basically, we're just going to align it to the top of those mounts. And the green mounts have a little bit of extra space here for you to put the adjusting rod in place. But first, we're going to put our prongs so that the header will stay in place. You're going to make sure it's lined up. Slide your prongs in place. There you go. Next, you're going to take the adjusting rod. And that adjusting rod can slide down some slots that are up at the top of the crossbar. In this particular case, you're looking for slots where the adjusting rod can just go right through nice and easily. And in this particular case, those work pretty good. So I'm going to take the pen that's included with your package, and I would just put a little mark there so that you remember where you chose the holes. The green mounts allow you to put the bolt right up against it if you needed to. But since we don't need to in our particular case here, we're going to choose this slot and that slot. What we've done is we've prepared one to show you as we progress with the installation. You're going to take this, put it up at the corner of your fridge, and you're going to let those adjusting rods dangle down, and you're going to put a little mark right there because you're going to put another bolt at the bottom here. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you the assembly of this, and then we're going to come back and finish this. So at this stage, you can take this part and all of this away to a table where you can finish this part of the assembly. Now we're going to proceed with the installation, and we're going to show you how to prepare the upper stabilizer and the header. In the previous segment you saw we had sort of pre-assembled it. Well, in this part we're going to show you the assembly from the beginning, so there's no step left unshown. So if you recall, this was the piece that had the prongs that was on top of the mounts, the side mounts. So now we're going to show you how to prepare the upper piece as well, the upper stabilizer. You'll recall that we decided that we were going to use this particular space. So you're going to slide the adjusting rod in, and at the top you'll see there's a square head. You're going to just pop that through so it fits into the square slot. And then the other one we chose was right here. So I'm going to slide the adjusting rod in and make sure that it slips in there so the square head is flush. The next thing I'm going to do, all of these pieces are included, so I'm going to take two of the washers, I'm going to slide them on, and I'm going to take the bolts and I'm going to put them all the way to the end, and I'm just going to make sure they're snug. You don't have to make them tight, you just have to make them a little snug so that they hold in place. So I'm going to do that, there it is, snug. I'm going to take the next bolt and I'm going to screw it onto the adjusting rod, and I'm going to get it to the end and make sure that it's nice and snug. Now, here's the most important part about this segment of the installation. What you're going to do now, make sure that's snug, is you're going to take the next set of washers and bolts and you're going to put them on the adjusting rods as well. If you recall in the last segment, we roughly marked where, when that was up against the top of the fridge, we put a few marks there like that. The reason being is you're going to take the bolt first and you're going to screw the bolt on again, and you're going to screw it on, and we're going to have an imaginary mark, but we're going to assume that that mark was right about there. So we're going to go a little bit higher, and then we're going to take the washer and stick it on. We're going to do the same for the other adjusting rod, and we're going to screw them on to where we used the mark. We're going to say it's about there. You see, there goes the bolt, there goes the washer. Now I'm going to take the header, and this upper stabilizer will now slide into the header like that. This is how you want to come back to the segment mounts that are taped onto the fridge wall with this in place. These bolts here are going to act as a ratcheting, and we're going to tighten them so that this gets all snug up against the top corner of your fridge. Now we've got that bolt head there, and what we've done is included some single-use neoprene. So what these are, you're going to take the backing off, and these are single-use only, so you're going to do it one time, and they're sticky on one side and not sticky on the other. And what you're going to do is just put that over the head of the adjusting rod, and I'm going to take the other piece and I'm going to stick it on top like that. Make sure it's nice and aligned. There you go. Now you've got protection for the top of your fridge. What we're going to do is we're going to take this back to the segment mounts, and we're going to show you the final part of the installation. Okay, now this is the final section of the installation, and we've got our upper stabilizer and our header assembled from the previous section, and now what we're going to do is take it back over to the fridge. And what you're going to do is give yourself a little bit of room, just like that. So when you install it up into the corner of the ceiling of your fridge, you're going to stick it there like that and let the header fall onto the segment mounts like that. So there's going to be a little bit of give for now, and we'll show you why. The next thing you're going to do is take the prongs and put them back into place like that. One side over here and the other side over here. So the prongs are in place, everything is set. Now, you'll recall in the previous section we put the bolts on the top. The reason we did this is that they will actually act as a ratcheting mechanism to push this section up into place and to keep it rigid into place. That's why those neoprene pads are there. So if I start to turn those bolts, you may see that this is actually moving. It's moving upward because it's going in, it's ratcheting the stabilizer. So you have to imagine that, let's assume that that's the ceiling of your freezer right here. The more I twist the bolt, the more I will put pressure and make it rigid, and that will keep it into place. So you're going to determine the size of what fits for you, and then you're going to turn the bolt on the adjusting rod, these rods here, and you want them to move upward. So when you turn it in a counterclockwise section, you'll see that it's moving it. And I'm just going to twist these bolts until this is rigid in place. Not super hard, just rigid. And there you've got your fantastic freezer installed. So this is what a panel stabilizer looks like once it's installed, holding all your goodies nice and easily organized in your freezer.